What a handsome man. Does she love him? Surrender to the enemy. Have you ever been attacked by your conscience?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome
Nice
to
intro, Dave. Good
the
job.
Rock and Talk Show.
Yay!
Right here, brought to you by From the Earth Official, and we are trying to improvise as best we can, but man, we're having a hard time with technology today.
Well,
And,
see, this is awesome. I mean, if you think about it, we're being very inventive, and that's what's so good about American ingenuity. Right now, we whipped out the phone. We said, how do we still get it out there to the folks? It's like what we're doing in the country right now, man. People are rallying and pulling stuff together, and that's it, man. I got to say, everybody out there, it's incredible, the freaking innovation and how quickly this country is responding to this thing. It's been just incredible. And my big freaking thumbs up to all those people that have been able to build hospitals and bring people in and fly stuff in and create new businesses and pull all this stuff. It's just crazy. So that's what we're doing right now. So he's streaming on his phone while we're off of his computer while we're Zooming. So it's a good thing.
and this is all about, you know, we're all sitting in our homes. We're all here quarantined for the last who knows how many weeks, days, months. It seems like forever.
I don't know.
And 420 is a cannabis national, actually an international holiday all over the world. And we're trying to bring some content to you despite the fact that we're all locked up and sitting here at home. So why don't we go around the room and do a quick intro. Let's start with you, Scott. You're up.
Well, I'm here because, I'm Scott Page. I'm kind of been a little bit on the different side. I'm on the music side, entertainment guy, but I've also been pretty active in the technology space for the last 20-something years. I'm very excited about, even with all this that's going on right now, I think there's going to be incredible innovation that's going to come out of this. I think this is going to help artists like crazy. And so I love to talk about the business side of things and what are the opportunities. So I'm a musician, artist guy, but I also kind of play on the other side of the fence.
All right. Let's go over here to Tony, Mr. Tony Franklin.
Hey there, everybody. Tony Franklin here. They call me the fretless monster because I guess I'm a little bit of a monster on the fretless bass. But hey, I'm making the best of it at home here. And actually, it's been cool because I get to put some focus on some projects which I haven't been able to or haven't made time to get to, like completing my bass instrumental album, completing a bunch of songs that I want to use for licensing and different opportunities, and you know, really making the best of it and reaching out to people in different ways and finding different ways. It's been actually quite something. I do believe, and maybe not everybody feels the same way, but I do believe that this time is going to turn out to be a blessing for everybody, because it's forcing us to introspect and think and you know, look beyond the stuff that we're used to. And so I think it's going to turn out to be a good thing for the world. And that does not mean to ignore the people who are struggling, and you know, there will be some financial rebuilding for people. But I'm an optimist, and so I believe that it's making us rise up into better things.
Yeah, that's what I like about you. Real quick, that's what I like about you, Tony. You and me have this conversation because, see, we always say the glass is always half full. Every time I drink it and I look back, it's always half full. And that's a beautiful thing. Great, Tony.
Hey, I'll add to that. I think the glass is always full.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's always full.
Hey,
It's not half empty.
I like that better.
It's always full.
It's always full.
Since we jumped to the middle, always full, let's go. Kenny, introduce yourself.
All right, so I'm Kenny Aronoff, and I play drums. So I've been, I'm a big Winston Churchill fan, and I've been, if anybody's seen The Darkest Hour, it comes from a a lot of that came out of a book called The Last Lion. It's like a 1,200-page book. But one of Churchill's quotes is, a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity. But like us, the optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. And so the COVID-19 is the difficulty. And like Scott was saying, you know, this is going to be an opportunity, and also Tony, that this is going to be an incredible opportunity for so many people. Sadly, some people, you know, will suffer, you know, but in general, it was time to kind of like probably cleanse the world. We were moving at lightning speed, and it's just recorrecting itself. I mean, that's a positive way of looking at it. So for me, what I do, because I don't have my studio in my house, but it's my life is like home, car, studio, car, home, unless I get car gas. Yeah, and nobody's in the studio but me, so I'm quarantined and everything is locked down. And you know, I have a lot of sessions I'm going to be doing. I have to figure out, since I don't run Pro Tools, how I'm going to have my engineer quarantined in the control room and I'm in the drum room, and we don't got masks on and gloves and you know work like that. But I've been massively busy, and I tell people, man, make lists of things that you're going to do, because when you create a plan and you execute it, you reach those goals, it can make you feel like it makes you feel good, gives you value. And I'll just add one more thing. I have a thing where I think that everything, especially now, is a good time to really focus on foundation, because you know you can't do anything unless you have your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual foundation locked down. It's almost like you know, physically, if you're not strong, somebody can knock you over. The same thing can happen mentally and emotionally too. So you have to. I have 8. I won't get into the details, but the basic 8 steps are, you know, lifting weights, which gives you strength, cardio, which gives you endurance, stretching, which gives you flexibility, diet, you know, eat as well as you can to stay healthy and strong. All these things keep your immune system up. And then there's supplements, which I'm very big on, supplements to boost your immune system and stay particularly healthy at this time. Then of course, water. Every organ in your body needs water. And then meditation is a way, you know, stress is you know, there's a lot of underlying stress and, you know, pressure on people they aren't even aware of. And so meditation is a form of releasing stress. So if nothing else, that is good. Even if you sit in a chair and think drum, 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 at least you could slow yourself down to relax, and that keeps you healthy. And finally, the last one, which is a real big one, which I'm not great at, but is sleep, because sleep gives you the ability to repair your body mentally and physically. And I just read this cool article that when your body's dealing with like the COVID-19 and your body's dealing with trying to fight this thing off, did you know when you sleep, it memorizes, the body's memorizing what it learned during the day, fighting the disease. So sleeping at least 6 to 8 hours a night. Of course, I do it like in spurts, like 4, wake up, another hour, wake up, another hour and a half, wake up, another 15 minutes, wake up, another half hour, but I add it up to 8. That's my speech, and that's what I believe in.
Well, see, that's what I love about you, Ken. I think everybody here that knows Kenny, you are one of the most disciplined, really positive people that I've ever met. You are just always focused on the upside, right? You always look at the upside, but that discipline and that thing. I'm waiting for the Kenny Aronoff boot camp, because I think you would be just like the greatest boot camp teacher on this stuff, right?
I would, yeah, probably people would. I would rule very, very firmly with love.
Yes, this is true, with love.
Very firmly, very
firm with love.
You know, because when I was a sophomore, probably people don't know this. When I was in my sophomore year in high school, I was a 3-letterman jock. I mean, I was a super disciplined athlete and a rock. I had long hair. I actually had hair. I had long hair. I was super disciplined in sports, which I then took into music.
Yeah.
You know, that ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, another thing, we just realized that we have 2 drummers here who have been competing for years as the top drummer slots, right? What was that? Which making it so funny. So we got two of the all-stars right here.
It's not
So Perkins, what's your discipline, brother? How do you do it? How do you get, what's your deal, brother?
Well, I let Kenny Aronoff make the wake, and then I surf behind it, you know? Yeah, but you know, I'm with you, man. I play drums, and that's my meditation. I take my vitamins, my B's and my C's, and I don't sleep much like you, Kenny, because I'm a little bit too hyper, but I try to get into bed and let the cells, you know, let the dreams get all the stress away. But yeah, it's about drumming. Yeah. And for me, the cup is half full. And sometimes I look at the cup, it's half full of poison. And so I got to fix that. Yeah. I got to fix that, man. And all the news, I have to stop reading the news and stop letting that get into my soul and just be surrounded by love, my family. We do a lot of art here at the house and we exercise a lot together as a family.
Good.
I'm starting to play music with my son, and that it's taken me to another level. And it's a positive world. I've been blessed to be. I found drums at 8 years old, and I really never had a real job. All I do is drum, and that keeps me happy. And I went out to breakfast with Kenny, and I watched what he eat, and then I ordered that. And I just think, I can do this, you know. And it's about friendship and playing with Norwood and Tony and Derek and Kenny and Scott and meeting Derek Day. You know, I'm 52. Derek is in his 20s, and I'm playing with these guys. It feels good to play with young people. Not like an athlete. Sometimes you got to put your mitt on. You know, you have to give it up. Musicians never give it up, and it's music is timeless. And so I'm just enjoying the time off with the family, and I'm excited to see when this is all. When the shit goes through the fan, I can't wait to feel and read and absorb all the new art that's going to come out of this, because there's going to be a lot of great artists and a lot of great music after this pain. We're going to need to let it out again. And I think that's the greatest thing about music and art. It's our own experiences. And if you're an honest musician, like everybody on this page, it's going to be great what's coming up next. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
I want to finish with the intros, but we got Marc Geiger. I basically turned the feed off. I'm getting a lot of feedback that it looks terrible on the phone, but we're recording it, so we'll be able to repost it. Let's just keep going.
No, let's do it.
And I'm going to bring Marc Geiger in.
Oh, great.
Real quick, here comes Marc Geiger. And we'll finish with the intros as well. But hey, Marc Geiger, how's it going? Turn on your microphone.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Mr. Mark, how you been, man?
How you doing, dude? I'm great.
We're having some technical difficulties. I think too many people are trying to stream live from Zoom to Facebook, and so the feed just would not connect. So we're recording this, and we'll repost it later, and it's really screwed me up personally because we had a whole thing planned and all kinds of cool stuff and a timeline, and now we're just sort of winging it. So
I think Willie Nelson's is going at the same time, right? So yeah. I think that's
the problem with Willie going on, right?
come on and toke it.
So Mark, how have you been, man? How you been doing?
I'm pandemic good, the way I call it. You know, I'm sitting at the beach and trying to figure out how to rebuild a devastated business and when, and how is that all gonna shake out. And it's kind of interesting because the business I grew up in, and Perky and a lot of you guys is right now total shutdown. So it's a fascinating time.
Yeah. So how about yourself? That's part of what we wanted to talk about. Like from your perspective and your point of view, like what do you think? Like what is the future? I mean, we're not going to be seeing large concerts maybe for a long time.
Well, here's my view. A couple of terms are fun to think about. One is what I call the germophobia economy, right? Which is everybody, I'm not going to go out. I'm scared to do this. I'm going to get this. The question is post-vaccine, post-treatment. When does the claustrophobia economy, meaning we're sitting in our house and we'll appreciate a restaurant or a concert or a festival or a gig so much to be there because we all got it taken away for a period of time. And I think most of the industry seems to think the claustrophobia economy is going to come back big, and it's going to eat the germophobia economy. Now I'm sort of joking about the terms, but I think they think that when you get past this on the other side, things will return to some version of normal. Maybe there's no handshaking, you know, coughing becomes a whatever, but they're going to go to gigs. Maybe there's some people wearing masks. It won't just be, you know, Chinese or Japanese visitors. So I think there's some thought about that. When is what's freaking people out. I think it's, if I were a betting man right now, I would put money on the Olympics. 2021 is the first large scale gathering. And then, because I think that's 15 months or so, I think that feels like enough time given all the medical advances that are being made. What people sort of have to remember, if you're inside of this, every decision is different. So it's a patchwork quilt. Belgium's different from Italy, which is different from Spain, which is different from the UK. Georgia is different from Kentucky, is different from Minnesota, is different from California. And the decision makers on each are local, right? They're health and safety officials and blah, 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 blah. And they're all, and they don't talk to each other and say, okay, we're going to allow performances in more than with under 200 people. And someone else says under 500 people. And someone else says under 1,000 people. You can't, until there's a wide scale solution, you know, that just crushes everybody's economics. Nobody can afford to go out and play shows, as an example, or anything like that. So, and the other issue is when they all get turned on, right? If you think about it, how are you, you know, 5 countries don't allow public gatherings yet, and 5 do. You're really going to go on to Europe or wherever, or, you know, 5 states. So I think we're struggling, you know, poor Paul Tillet's was early and moved Coachella. Don't know if that was a good decision. He may have to move it again or cancel it or something. I'm in the middle of every festival in the world and every gig. Tours are easier because they can get rescheduled, right? And that's just kicking it down the road, and hopefully people can keep their crew and their band or their whoever is on their staff available, and they don't get in trouble. But that's an easier thing to have come back. Albeit, again, if I'm rambling, somebody shut me up. Okay. If you're an arena band right now, you're kind of screwed because all the sports got killed as well, and they have priority in figuring out their schedules. So if you think about it, the NBA and the NHL and WNBA and the other college teams that run those or play in those buildings, they're going to have run of the schedule first, and then all the artists, hey Norwood, get to eat afterwards. The clubs and theaters, they're going to want to fill every night, right? They're going to want to play 30 shows a month to try and make up for the lost alcohol and door and everything so they can have a vibrant economy again. So that should come on pretty quick. And the festivals are the trickiest because they're big brands with massive amounts of bands on them, and they have to guess against the clock. They got fixed dates. No one else has fixed dates. So, you know, that's a smattering of what I'm dealing with in my, you know, my 420 and for the last month.
So sports are talking about, go ahead, Tony. Tony, you got to cut out.
I got to fly. Yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm sorry, I've got to jump. I had a prior commitment to another meeting, so we'll see how that one goes technically.
We'll try it again on a day that isn't 420, and maybe we'll be able to stream just fine. But,
yeah, well, hey, hopefully your recording of this will work out because it's great stuff and should be heard. So,
yeah.
Anyway, enjoy, guys. Great seeing you all.
Right, thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
Tony.
So what you were saying, Mark, I mean, they're talking about maybe doing the NBA playoffs without crowds.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, they're talking about that. Like in the music world, do you see a reality where maybe a stadium or an arena band will do a concert without a crowd and it'll be streamed?
Well, they've done that for years, and it didn't really build audience, right? That Palladia, Access, Fuse, those were 3 TV stations, and all they did was broadcast Springsteen, right. James Addiction, you know, you name it, Radiohead, didn't that Coldplay, nobody watched. You know, YouTube has almost every single show every night by every artist you can find, right? Yeah. So I don't think it's about, I think I tell people this, for me, what happened because the digital economy got slammed, right? We're on Zoom, everybody's learning how to use all the digital tools. But, you know, sports had a live side, you'd pay X amount for a ticket, it would be a kind of experience, and then you'd watch it at home, but it would be advertising supported. You wouldn't pay $10 for a game, right? You wouldn't. That's not what people do.
No.
So they're analogizing the music economy to go, hey, when you're watching at home, either through Zoom or through whatever, even though it's been free 3 channels and Moshcam and Digital Club Network and many House of Blues Digital live webcast, many shows. They're commodities, right?
Yeah,
it's not like sports. And I tell people it's a little bit more like sports on TV and the pricing.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, there's a lot of things that are like that in person have a very high value. And then once they're put on television or anywhere online on a digital network, the value drops through the floor. It's just a different thing. And it could be ad supported, right? Which is what a lot of these things are. I do think there's an economy. I was on the board of a company called Stage It, which 10 years been able to.
Evan Lowenstein.
Yeah, exactly. So it's Evan's baby, and it's been going 10 years. It's been out there, thousands of performances. And that's a bit like camming, right? You name your price, or they set a price, and you small audiences. So I think it's a bit overblown because there's nothing else to do. I think the live gig economy was exploding over the last 20 years. Festivals was, you know, arcing huge. It was going to $40 billion, and artists were making a lot of their money and being able to afford their infrastructures from all that. And, you know, I think people are waiting for it to come back. I was talking to Paul Tillett today, and here's a fascinating thing. So obviously one of many things he's got to figure out is this thing going to play in October? Odds are no, right? Odds are the world is not open for 125,000 people to get next to each other and lick each other, right?
No.
In the desert
Share
in
that
October.
share.
Exactly. Passing a joint. Hey. So the germophobia economy still be around, right? So he might end up, and if I'm right and the Olympics start, next Coachella would have been the following April. So he would have had to miss 2 Coachellas. So I said to him, if it opens the following July, so he may have 2 Coachellas missing. And I go, you know, Paul, after 20 years, Glastonbury takes a year off, and they always do, right? A year on, year off, because they try and rotate the crops and keep the interest really high. Coachella's been going 20 years, right? A lot of older people turned off to it. I don't want to go. I told them after 2 years, the thirst to go back to Coachella will be so high that it's kind of probably good for the festival. He would have done it anyway without a pandemic. Anyway, just a funny little anecdote from today.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. You know, one of the things I've been toying with is just thinking about the opportunity for premium opportunity. So like, let's take a restaurant that's a place that's set up that can maybe hold 150 people, but I can only do it for maybe 30 or 40 people, right? Once they start to open the doors, creating a premium experience. So the band comes in, because you can get it to the point so that you can actually do the live show, and then hybrid that to some sort of sponsored stream sort of an event, or some kind of way where you can create that that extra revenue source. And maybe those are like real high-end premium, because like you said, I think people are going to want to come back. They're going to want to be able to have some of the experience. And there's a lot of people that are going to get totally hammered in this thing financially, but there's also still going to be a bunch of people that are going to still have some cash, and they're going to still want to go out and do things. So what do you think of that strategy from your thinking? As again, as
I think
obviously it's not.
I think they were,
stuff, right?
No, they were doing it. They did. There was a whole circuit. Again, another person I know has a company that puts on shows in people's houses for 30 to 150 people. And they've been doing it, and certain artists on the have been on the circuit, but it's like mp3.com. It's smaller artists, right? It's more, more artists who that is their only business model, not their preferred one.
Yeah,
it can be done. I have a friend of mine that's curating a Zoom party and who I work with, who's got all these artists to show up, and it's made the news, and they're raising $1 million for charities and . But, you know, I think you just had the Stones on the Lady Gaga, you know, Global Citizen stream cast yesterday. I think a lot of it's going to be for charity, and then the world's going to want to get back and make their make their money. I don't mean to be calloused about it, but I think people love. I even think performers need the energy of the crowd and the vibe.
That's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's better that way.
Go ahead, Norwood.
No, it's better that way. But I was just, see, me and Kenny Olson were talking about like putting up some like a false competition. He's the new Wolfman Jack, and I'll be the new Don Kirshner, and we'll host something. But we need sponsors from the marijuana community specifically, you know, because they can't put their money in banks still, right? Is that still?
Well, they can now.
Give
But
it to us.
Weed Maps did something today on 420. They did a broadcast. I had Billy Ray Cyrus. They paid him to be on it. Weed Maps today. So it's starting. The weed economy's starting, just starting. But you're right, Norwood. That'd be amazing, by the way.
Yeah, but a band like Jane's Addiction and Fishbone, like you said, if you're in the room with us, it's an experience. If you're watching us on TV, you know, you lose a little of that voodoo. So, you know, and there's something that, like you said, there'll be that need to get in a room with the band again.
I think it's like sex. A lot of people are using Pornhub right now, but if they couldn't, they'd go back to the real world fast. My 2 cents. My 2 cents.
You're not married.
So I got a question for you, Mark, because obviously I knew you back. My company was Seventh Level. So I started that with Bob Ezrin, and, you know, we did that deal with Monty. I remember. All that Monty Python stuff that we did with you guys, Artist Direct. You guys were really the first real artist, serious artist fan system or platform, let's put it that way, back in the day. And obviously we were fighting bandwidth and horsepower, and which made it so hard to have a really compelling experience. Do you think now, because of what's happened here, I think we're seeing everybody forced into this collaborative communications now like they've never been before. And I personally have noticed how actually, and you know, I'm in the game, I'm in a tech guy, right? And I've been around and I use these tools, but I never really used them where I was on with half a dozen of my friends, just walking around my house, doing my stuff like I was almost together and stuff, where it actually feels pretty compelling. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not like, oh, I don't have any camaraderie. I actually have a certain, because they're walking around and they're showing you stuff and there's a whole thing, right? So do you think that finally one of these platforms like Stage It or somebody, or do you think it's going to be more, see, I believe we're moving from the big global side going down to hives. We're moving into a much smaller group, kind of, you're seeing everybody's moving into a hive group mentality. So do you think that would just be more about the bands, or do you think that platforms, what do you think? Do you think that's going to happen now? Is this helping fuel that?
I think it's definitely, I think we are getting slammed into a direct digital economy. Just look at Instacart and Amazon's, you know, spike. You know, Michael Rapino said to me 6 weeks ago, no, 3 months ago, he goes, Geiger, it's time for Artist Direct again. He goes, when Kim Kardashian looks at Spanx, can call up a manufacturer in China, call it Skims, put a post on our Instagram feed and sell $100 million worth of product. It's time, and that people under a certain age who grew up online are fearless. I think there's a couple managers I work with who are super just go-getters, and they don't care about the establishment. They just care about going direct plug-in, right? So yeah, I think all that gets slammed home. I do think it's a multi-channel environment, though. I used to think, you know, started from the website, and then it went to, you know, you had a few big platforms, whether your MySpace, then Facebook, whatever. But I think everybody has audiences. I'm on the board of a streaming company in India called Savin that's got 300 million customers, and you study what QQ and Tencent's doing with 800 million customers. I think we call it in geekdom write once, publish multiple. You just make the content and then you publish it across all of your networks, your spaces on everybody's network, and you build your followings, and then you have to aggregate. Then you have to aggregate your audience and figure out how to manage it. But I do think it's time, and I think the people that are putting energy into it are finally starting to see payoff and financial payoff, not just users, you know. And I don't think for most of the artists on this call or that you work with, being a YouTuber and putting out, you know, being on camera every single day, 8 hours a day to make your money is that model. So I think it's starting to emerge.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I think it is really what I call the POP, platform of platforms, really, and it's aggregating. You want to basically build once, distribute many as much as you can. That makes total sense. And that's the opportunity right now. It's really, you can configure that whole thing on a, TV went on. You can configure that. Oh God, turn this stuff off. I had the
technology's really fucking with us today, huh?
Sorry about that. Now I forgot what I was going to say.
It's like weed. All right, let's go to David Moss. It's like weed. If you thought that you make really good weed and you were going to get it to everybody and on every platform, you'd be crazy. You know, you would care about distribution of your weed. All right, and I think content, you think about it like that. Porn works that way. You know, girls who are on camera, they're on 5 different platforms, you know, collecting from multiple pots. I just think that's the way the market is working. And so for me, the market's evolving and you just go with it. You go where the audience and the money is. You don't try, you can scrape audience, but you're not going to beat Facebook or Instagram or Amazon or no way, or YouTube, not a chance.
Yeah, that's why I always people
Spotify.
Say, I'm going to build a platform and I'm going to move all those people over onto my platform. That ain't going to happen, man. We've already been down that path in the last, 20 years we've tried, or 15 years or whatever it is. We've been trying that one for a while. Yeah.
Hey, Mark, I have a question. So
what's up, Kenny?
What is the hope for, let's say, a new band, a new artist to even make a dent in the business? Now, I mean, it's even more now because now they can't even go and play for free at a festival.
And or an existing band that is, trying to keep it going.
Yeah.
Same thing.
What would you tell them to do?
I think in the era you were out on the road pre-internet, you had to find your audience all over again, depend on radio, you gigged a lot. You know how the system used to work. I think through online, when the business went into Spotify, these people build communities that either are followers, you can cultivate an audience easier on the internet than off, okay?
Yeah.
It's learning how to do it.
Is the trick. And learning how the same way somebody sees you at a gig and is dying to meet you backstage and say, oh my God, Stephen Perkins, that was the best gig I've ever seen. You're the best drummer of all time. And blah, blah, blah. Can I get your autograph? That person then follows you now easier and you don't have to meet them, but you can message them. And I think there's a whole bunch of artists that are uncomfortable messaging, uncomfortable working the crowd or working the audience. It's not what they do. They make art or they play music or they do whatever. But I think for people that work the room well, the internet is much easier. I think more artists are breaking than ever. There's more press. There's less stranglehold from radio. There's more outlets. There's more subcultures. There's more ability to just be discovered. So I find it to be incredibly fertile, which is not maybe not a popular view, but I think the business is bigger than ever and more fertile, and it's easier to break. I just think it's different. You're not going to put out a song and get on the radio and be,
Well, I was going to say, Derek Day is 25 years old. He's one of the best musicians I've met in the last 20 years. But what does that do for Derek? I mean, I believe in him, but how does Derek, what do you see, Derek? I mean, I know I've seen you on stage many times. It's mind blowing, but do you spend a lot of time online and conversing with your own crowd?
I really try to, and I'm still learning the game. Like Mark, you're saying, like it's you're still figuring it out. I do like so many live streams too, and I'm like, but it's so weird because a lot of my peers make money off of streams just by like fashioning their freaking clothes, and I'm trying to figure out like how are you making money off Instagram? I have no clue, and I'm really trying to get on that game. Like I am pretty tech savvy, but it's so,
But
that's
it's
actually
a
just something I'm still
It's a
figuring out.
game, and it's like whoring yourself out, living in public, right? You're putting on a continuous public image across multiple channels, and that's not necessarily what music artists are supposed to have to do or do well.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of conflict. My answer to people is, it's part of why I started that company back in the day, Artist Direct, was to help people do that, right? That was literally the goal of it. But I think, you know, enablers, this is what, if you have a good manager, a good digital person, I mean, fuck, it's a hireable skill. Most of the music business is hired out for people to do things, right? So I think there's a little bit to that, but not, by the way, the other problem, to Kenny, to your point, is what really happened was there used to be a more strict filtering system called record labels that would let fewer people in the game, so there'd be less competitors, right? Right now, when they're putting out 10,000 records a week, it's like YouTube videos. You think about what it would have been like in the 70s and 80s against 10,000 records a week. You wouldn't have all those gold records behind you. You know what I'm saying? You'd be flooded. It'd be like putting up a piece of content on, I got to call him back. It'd be putting up a piece of content on YouTube. It just gets lost. It's all then about the marketing or the virality and people talking about it. So, you know, there's a lot to the new game, but when you think about festivals, even down to earth, okay, we're in the digital world. They became the biggest thing around, right? That everyone to play them and how big they were, and the greatest thing. And people going out and having a good time became even bigger in a digital world. So something must have worked and connected that, whether it was the information of the gigs or God knows. Maybe all the shit up on YouTube's working and it's all a big advertisement for, you know, live, which is what I think it is. That's what I think it actually is.
There's no question. Because people are getting so inundated, you know, I mean, if you look at it today, the artists, the only two, you can't sell music anymore, really. There's no place to sell music, really. So like for most artists, the money really comes in the relationship, the lifestyle, and the live, you know, the live performance, the experience, you know, because that's what we are. Most of us all here, we're a part of a company called Think Experience, where it's all about the immersive entertainment space. So it's really creating an experience. And so I think when you talk with Derek, the real key is what are you going to sell? That's like, what is it going to sell? And is it helping is it something your fans will want to purchase? Because it's very difficult to go sell records, and streaming is so difficult because of the numbers. If you've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of streams, you can make some money, but you get a couple million streams, which is very difficult for most artists unless you've got some, because the playlists are basically taken over. You know, that's the new radio station, right? The playlist. And so it really seems it's really about, again, building that niche. And it's almost like Kevin Kelly's whole model of the 1,000 True Fan idea is actually coming to more fruition right now. And I think more artists will actually learn what to do, because actually Beebs, our friend Beebs, and I spoke to her, and she's really good because she started her own little clothing line, and she's got a thing, she interacts with her fans. And I had a conversation with her, and she said to me, there's roughly about 125 people in her fan base, which basically support her year round, that basically covers her. It's like just 125 people, and then there's other things she brings in. So it's really about that smaller hive mentality, creating value and getting that repeatable, figuring out how to get that, you know, to start out with that first, 1,000 true fans. True fan is somebody who'll spend $100 a year on you. If I have 1,000 of those, there's my first $100,000 in revenue. Build a repeatable model around that, figure out what they can get, what you can offer them, whether it's relationship based on experiences, unique ways of mashing things together to create new things. And I think that's really seems like the main place is, what do you think about that?
So ironically, I just got a text from Metallica. So I'll show it to you. I don't know if it'll come up on the screen. Let me hold this up. It won't. Anyway, it's from Metallica.
Yeah.
It says, okay, stay home tonight with a live stream of a gig from Germany during the summer of 2015. The show starts in 10 minutes on our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Right.
So that we're talking about, okay, so that's what you got to do. Now they're Metallica, but they're working somebody's working the room. I don't know if James or Lars sent that, probably not, but
Right.
I don't know. Look, I think you adapt or die, right? One. Two, music to me got put on the same platform as sports, porn, and every other type of entertainment. So you got to manage to the platform and the way it's being distributed as new rules. We used to manage to an old set of rules, record companies, radio station, ... So for me, I look at sports and porn because they have an ad-supported model. They can do one-on-ones through the internet. Live is the most valuable and worth the most money, okay? If you just think about sex, if you think about sports, if you think about a lot of things, food has a lot different value in your home than it does in a restaurant. So I think it's about understanding the value in a digital world of these things. Music is no longer a product to be sold. It doesn't exist. Amazon stopped distributing, you know, the age of physical product or files is really just done, and it's a matter of minutes except for vinyl collectors. So I think it's about just figuring out how to make it work now. There's more music than ever, more people are listening than ever, they're listening in more places than ever, they're going to more shows than ever, they're watching more videos. The things that are getting viewed are being tracked tangibly for the first time, and you can see how many millions or billions or hundreds of thousands or 10,000s. I think it always comes back to, hey, well, how does it work for an artist you haven't heard of? And getting, sorry about the noise, getting the music out is always the biggest problem, no matter what system you're in. And building an audience is always the hardest thing, no matter what system you grew up in, if you're an artist. So unfortunately, the answers always are the same, which is you got to be really good. You got to have people championing you, right? And whether that's called followers, fans, or artists. I mean, I got brilliant artists I get to work with whose other artists know are great, and the fans don't care. How you make those connections, sometimes it's luck, and sometimes it's a lot of good team around you or work in the room. I don't think it's that different, but that's my view on this world right now when I work with artists. So my 2 cents.
Great.
Wow.
That was great, man. That was really, that was very insightful.
No, that was amazing. Very insightful. It's a little depressing. It's a little exciting. It you know, it gives you something to think about and looking at the paradigm from a different perspective. And that's what we as humans need to do, is adapt and sort of.
So I'll give you a positive spin for a minute on that, which is this. I'm a music freak. I've known Perky. I've known Norwood for a long time. I've known Perkins forever. And I used to run a record store. I'm an actual freak. I pay attention every week to the new releases. Now, if you are that kind of person, or if you're really into music, you can, right? Any music platform, you can find out everything that came out. You can read hundreds of reviews, and you can go get the music, and you can be a voracious filter, all right? So that turns on. That used to only be done professionally by radio, you know, programmers and other people in that press. So now the whole world can be filters. I believe I'm listening to more music than ever, discovering more artists than ever. I think there's got to be people all over the world who are doing that, and they are, and they're sharing that. So I have ultimately a super positive view that the numbers are just going to keep going up and up and up and up, pandemic aside. It's just there's this massive discomfort with how it works and how overwhelming these new systems are. And if you just scale it back to gigs, which are not that overwhelming, and you think about what I'm saying, and I'm saying, okay, the listening and watching video world is the same as the gig world. It's exploding. So there's more places to play than ever before. More countries got switched on. There's more capital and promoters, Live Nation all over the world. There's more clubs than ever before. There's more theaters than ever before. Tours are longer than before. You know, connecting with your audiences internationally is bigger than ever before, and they can all get the music, right? So when you just look at numbers, I actually think it's immensely positive. So I don't want you to go, hey, well, that was a little depressing. I think it's more depressing because it's a new tool set for a guy, for a person that never knew how to use Pro Tools, and they were purely analog. That was depressing, you know? So
hey, what do you think about okay, so this cocooning, everybody what this experience we're going through right now, what do you think about the sort of the new technologies from a VR point of view? Have you heard anything in that space?
I've seen a lot of it. We had a VR lab at the company. I think it's too early. It's not hardware ready.
You know, but I'm saying from
it's the Apple Newton.
Yeah, I'm just saying from the fact of this thing, do you think it's going to help drive some adoption?
No, because it's a hardware problem.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a software problem. I think it's a hardware problem. And until they fix the hardware, there's no purpose.
Yeah. Well, 5G might have some help in that too, right?
I think it's not the networks. That's part of it. But I think it's the hardware.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Look, my 2 cents, just an opinion.
Yeah, we've watched it. We try. It's been trying to launch. I remember we started back in the 80s. I remember like early 80s. It was like mid 80s. I'm sorry, early mid 80s. VR it was going to come. It was going to save us, right?
Derek, you're muted. Unmute. You're muted. There you go.
I know I do it just in case my dog barks and stuff. I was just gonna ask for clarification. You mean Mark? You mean the hardware? Like it's just not
headsets, ear, chest pack, chair, vibration. You got to wear 10 different things, cables, battery unhealth. Your brain gets scrambled between the audio signal and the visual, which by the way is true. I mean, you extended wear gets you ill. That's good. Well, so no, I don't think it's close, but that's me.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree. They had a big ups down, then now they're having the big downturn. I was just curious if you thought this behavior would drive more people getting into it, at least see what it's about.
The good news is that it kind of feels like a Black Mirror episode right now, so we might get to technology pretty quick. We might get there.
I think the problem is it's hardware, and it's big problems. They've been spending money, Oculus and all these companies, and I don't think I think this is the Apple Newton.
Yeah. Do you think it's more horsepower than it is the real issue?
Part of it.
Yeah.
I don't listen. You should talk to the experts. I've tried it all. I think it's still.
Yeah, I know. I can't take it for very long. Although I did have a pretty interesting one with AR Rahman. You know AR. AR, the big composer, he just did his, and he showed me his thing, and it was pretty freaking compelling.
It'll get there.
Perkins, were you there with that? No. You weren't there for that. Okay, yeah. It was unbelievable. It was pretty unbelievable. It was one of the first ones where there was a real story, and you didn't feel like you were going to get sick or dizzy or anything. It was just an interesting way to view the story, and it actually was pretty compelling. But it's still got a ways to go. There's no question.
No, there's been so many shortcuts in the past that have been taken too, though. In music, that's so much soul and substance has already been taken away with just how we've gone to the digital recording. And so it's going to be quite interesting to see how this technology comes to play here and how fast it does, with people actually being able to interact. Because with me, playing live, music, the word music comes from the word muse. And to me, the people, the audience, the interaction with people, like back in the Kid Rock days, like we were blessed because that was like that last era of like actually selling physical records. And as the download era came into play, I started feeling like I worked my whole life to become this football player on a football field, and the whole stands came down and kind of got in the way. Kind of thing, it kind of a little overwhelming how to deal with this era, how it came into play. And now, it's really overwhelming what's going to happen. I'm looking at all my buddies up here on the screen here and wishing that we could all just be.
Can you hear Kenny?
Barely hear you, Kenny. Speak up.
Get on the mic.
Yeah, speak it.
Yeah, I got. How about now?
Oh, that's great.
Oh, there you go. Get it as close as you can, man.
Hip hop the mic.
I'm used to not being heard. That's why I play guitar. That's my voice.
Much better. We can hear you perfect now.
Yuck. Ha.
No, but I mean, it's just, it's really, being doing this as long as I've been doing it. And, was blessed to have some success when it was really people, you go work really hard, showcase, get a record deal and work for your following and everything. And now, just, like dealing with just watching people, the digital pain, their likes, this, that, just in general, the whole soul and substance that I feel has been missing. And now I see going into this new era where everybody's trying to interact. It's been crazy enough even the last few years, the sessions that, like all of us talk about, Kenny was talking about too, we all get sessions sent to us in the studio, we end up playing them, you send them back, and it's almost like, people are like, what was it like playing with so-and-so or so-and-so? And it was like having phone sex with a condom on. I wasn't even in the same room with them. And it takes that whole, kind of vibe away from it all. But it's So it's interesting, but you know, we got to be positive and like figure out, you know, and roll with it. It's like, you know, can't reinvent the wheel at this point. It's
No, the wheel is being reinvented, bro.
so it's like, you know, for me, I'm just trying to, you know,
That
but
wheel is
but
definitely
also we were
changing.
talking earlier about drinking from, you know, a full glass, and Kenny and you know, Steve were talking about that. No one wants to be looking at an empty glass because that reflection is like, you know, got to toss off the rearview mirror, you know, move on, I guess. But it'll be quite interesting to see what happens. But
Yes.
I think that by and large, there's like an age-related mass confusion, like, you know, because it's a ton of people that were making, like, coming up as like SoundCloud rappers. They're not missing a beat. Every SoundCloud rapper is like, oh, it's my time. You know? And so, you know, it's like, you know, and Derek, as a brilliant young man, he's just hanging out with old dudes. He don't know.
I'm hanging out with Jedi Masters.
I love you, good company, bro. But
thank you.
You know, I'm just your generation is actually taking advantage of the technology in advance of this moment, and most of them, it doesn't matter, like for how they interact. And yeah, like watching Biebs actually work the system through this and sell paintings, sell her clothes, and market herself through videos, and go. She's the one person I know that went directly into live streaming. Like, oh, it's time.
Who was that? Who was that?
Biebs.
You just played with her earlier today, didn't you?
I did a live stream with her earlier today for the.
I saw that.
Yes. One of your fans was on the roof next door, who were like, you know, Derek Day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I once with Derek Day.
Yeah. Sick.
I love it. Well, I mean, we're going a while here, and I really just want to say I appreciate everyone. This didn't go exactly how we anticipated it going, but I think this has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah, it'd be good to post it. It won't matter.
I did
Most
record
people
the
don't
whole
see the
thing.
live stream. They see it afterward anyway. So just post it. Yeah,
Is
it
it
was
still
great.
recording?
It's still recording.
I have a question. Kenny, Aronoff,
Yeah.
what's the first time you smoked weed, and can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and my buddy had they had a little cottage on their property in no, this is the first time. The first time I got high, that's what I should say. The first couple of times we had Acapulco Gold back then. Acapulco Gold. And I remember these two girls picked up me and my twin brother, and we're smoking. We're like, what is this? This ain't working. This ain't working. And they all had the slitty eyes. And we're like, whatever. Finally, I get some hash. I get a $5 piece of hash. And we had a barn on our property where we practice our bands. So I go out there with my brother, and we make some makeshift pipe or something, and I'm smoking it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, what is, John, this shit is bullshit. This isn't working. So all of a sudden, my dad screams from the house, Kenny, you got a phone call. I went, fuck, get rid of the shit. We get rid of the shit. And I go running across the property, and I go jumping up the stairs because I used to see how many steps I could get. I went up, never came down. I just flew. Next thing I know is my dad saying to me, shut the refrigerator door. I'm going, I'm eating my grandma's homemade strudel. And I went, holy shit. That was my first high.
There you go.
I love it. I love it.
Kenny, you'll be happy to know Acapulco Gold is back.
Is it really?
Yeah.
And it's way better than it used to be.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
Well, you know, the thing is, the gold back then, we were scared that they were spraying the crops in Mexico.
That's right.
Aircloth.
Yes.
Aircloth.
Right.
Now, there was a station in Los Angeles called KMET, and one of the DJs was Paraquat Kelly.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
Paraquat Kelly's still around. He's not doing well though. He has, I want to say he has Parkinson's or something. But one of my favorite DJs. I grew up with Paraquat Kelly.
Yeah.
But
same question for you, Marc Geiger. Same question. Your first time smoking weed.
I didn't smoke weed till college. Can you believe that? So it was first or second day in the dorms at UCSD, and I was in the dorm with Mike Judge, of all things, was in our dorm. Yeah, true story. He's a physics major. And all the chem class, they would have two camps of guys. They'd have the beaker, hookah, bong camp, and then the Pasteur pipettes, the long glass pipes. Perky will know about the pipettes if he'll remember. And that came from Chem Lab. So that was where it all kind of started. I was a baseball player jock, so I didn't really smoke. It was weird. Friends of mine, I just didn't smoke. I was a music freak, but I didn't smoke weed till college. Then I didn't stop.
That was it.
That was it. It's my drug.
You know,
Now look at you in the
my
gutter.
buddy asked me if you went to UCSD because he said he knew you from back then with his ex, Kelly Portner.
Yeah, she was hot. I love Kelly Portner. I had a crush on Kelly. I
Graff.
had a total crush on her. She was awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
He told me to throw that out and make sure that I throw that
It's
into
absolutely true.
Ronnie Grafton, and that was his girlfriend back in the day.
I tell him I was jealous of him back in the day.
What else? We got any other cool stories that we can share?
I know. Now we're loosening up here.
Now we're loosening up a bit.
We were talking about the industry. Let's have some fun.
Perkins, what you got?
What's that?
What do you got, Perk?
Well, let's see. You know, I wanted to thank you, actually, because 1986, Jane's Addiction could have gone in any direction, but Geiger put us out with Iggy Pop and Love and Rockets, and Psychedelic Furs, and Peter Murphy.
What year was that?
That was 86, 87. He got us in front of the right crowds. I really think.
I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah, I really think, you know, not only we were a great live band, but we were able to play in front of the right audiences. And Geiger and, you know, Triad really kind of steered that direction. And Don Moeller and Geiger were really a big part of where Jane's Addiction ended up. And I still think about those days.
You are too nice. I will tell you, I'll take that, but it's bullshit. You were one of the best bands ever of all time, and a fucking monkey could have done that. I think Jane's Addiction was so far above every other. Sorry to anybody who gets insulted. That it was fucking ridiculous. The records were ridiculous. The band was ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous. It was unstoppable, except that they stopped it, but not for the right reasons. But it was, please, it was like watching. You know, it's not hard to coach LeBron or Michael Jordan. That's all I'll say.
Wow.
That was an era. That was a beautiful era. I'm very glad.
And I also
Fuck
think
yeah,
about,
it was. It was
you know,
awesome.
I think about what Derek Day does on stage, and I don't know if you've ever seen him play, Mark, but there's
I will.
something
I'll go see him.
very spectacular and very spiritual about his performing
Cool.
and his voice and his guitar playing. And
I haven't heard him. I want to know what he sounds like.
Love him.
Here, I got a clip. I can play us a clip.
I don't know how spiritual. It's the spirit of rock and roll.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna here. Let's look at this is Derek Day doing a little
Deism.
a little Led Zeppelin here. Let's check it out.
Let's see.
Let's check it out. there you have it, Mr. Derek Day.
Yeah, Derek Day.
Dude,
Yeah, you know, and it's
that's
also
great.
oh, there he is. And also seeing musicians like, you know, Kenny Aronoff. I don't know, you're 25 years old, 26 now?
27.
27 years old.
27. Ooh.
But
Oh, you better be careful this year. This is the hard year to get through. Mind your P's and Q's, 27.
It reminds you of what that dedication, and
Yeah.
I've never seen you not get better than you were. Every time I see you, you're better than yesterday. And
Yeah.
that, to me, that's my goal, is just to keep practicing and
Yeah.
still, you know, look
Hey,
at yesterday as like, hey, it don't mean shit. It's what I do
No.
today, what I do tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And I
the
think that's-
past is history. It's learning something new every day is what it's all about.
You
If I
know,
don't learn something new every day, I'm not living.
You know, I look at myself as like a running back in the NFL. The greatest athletes on the planet, do they get touchdowns every time? No, but they try to get in the end zone every play, every game, their entire career. And so it's like I'll never be as great as I want to be, but I'm willing to spend the rest of my life trying to be as great as I can be. You just get the ball and go for it every day, every play. That's all you can do, right?
You're a real inspiration, Kenny, to
Thank you.
not only drummers, but to everybody I've ever talked to about Kenny Aronoff.
Oh, thanks.
You're a badass. And same
You
with
are,
Geiger,
Kenny.
man. You're top of the game, you guys.
And
All
you
of
got
you guys.
and you got the best name ever too. That's why you and I need to do something and call it double penetration.
No, just
or we could call it the Ken Commandments, the Renaissance, Generation X. I don't know, we could, but you know what? One thing, Kenny, this is what we should do.
that's great.
As an English dictionary, I don't know if all these guys know that the word Kenneth is
Love.
term means the handsome one.
Oh, does?
Yeah, so
Wow.
instead of like the
Well,
handsome,
clearly that ain't true.
Yeah.
you and I could go under the name the Handsome Brothers.
Oh, bro. Oh,
The
God.
Ten Commandments say so. No.
This is great, man. That's a lot of material there. That's some valuable material. That's incredible. Everything you said was cool.
I think all of you are inspirations to me. I love all of you guys. Not only musically, but as human beings and friends, and honored to call you guys my friends. And some of you I've known longer than others, and some of you it feels like I've known you my whole life. And I appreciate you taking the time to be here out of your days to do this. We're hoping to do this on a regular basis and make it actually something that really brings value to people out there that are stuck at home right now for who knows how much longer we're going to be stuck at home. I mean, here we are all sitting in our houses all over the place, and we're hanging out for the last hour and a half, going much longer than we anticipated, having a really deep conversation. And Mark, I mean, some really cool insight. I really appreciate all of that.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on, Mark. That was great to get your perspective.
Yeah.
And Kenny. And Kenny,
And Kenny Aronoff,
Thank
the
you.
hottest looking man in show business. Right there, that boy. He's so funky.
Kenny, you got a little jam you can take us out, a little blues jam real quick.
Who, me?
Yeah, you, baby. Yeah, you.
Plugged in. You plugged
Play
in.
us out, baby.
All right, I'm out, guys. I'm gonna call you guys. Talk to you later.
See you, Mark. Thanks, man, for coming, bro.
Mark, thank you for coming on, brother.
My pleasure. Take care.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna play a little music for you guys here. Ready?
Okay.
Here we go. Here, Jimmy, play us a little. This is for my brother Norwood here too.
Turn it up. Turn it up.
Whoa, that sounds awesome.
It does. Yeah.
Crystal clear.
Yeah. It does.
I get brain.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
bravo, bravo. Nice playing, Kenny.
Beautiful. One of my absolute most favorite songs of all times. Beautiful, beautiful.
Well, here's to the cup being half full. I love you guys.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
It's better than looking at an empty glass.
Full glass.
Aronoff.
Look at that.
It's always full. Always
Cup
full.
is always full.
That's
The bottle
right.
Always full. It's always
Yeah,
full.
exactly.
Hey,
Sure, we want to see that, Scott.
hey, David. Thanks for putting this together, you guys. David
Fun.
and Perk, thank you for including me. I'm gonna go and I'm actually gonna head to the studio now.
Good,
All
man.
right.
Right on.
And
All right.
thank you for
Thanks,
joining
Kenny.
us. Appreciate it.
Do this
All right.
again with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
safe.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Let's
Wait, one last thing, Kenny Aronoff, one last thing.
yeah.
Can you can you just give an estimate of how many babies was made to your beats?
Oh my God. Now, first of all, nobody has ever asked me that question in my entire life of 27 years old. Oh my God. I heard one story where this Man Cow DJ said he used to fuck the shit out of this girl in Kansas to Jack and Diane.
Yeah.
So if she got pregnant, then that would be one baby.
But he always came before the big drum fill, I heard.
Happy ending.
Yeah. And on that note, this is a happy ending. I love you guys dearly. I want you all to stay safe and well and healthy. And we're going to do this again, and we're going to stream it live next time. And it's going to work because we're going to make sure it works next time.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
And don't forget,
Love my brother.
stand up for America. Do it. Boom.
All right, you guys. Love you guys.
Love you, man.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't want to hang up.
I gotta go.
I gotta pee.
I gotta go. Bye, you guys. Love you, Kenny.